Hello, welcome to our Behavior Change Project presentation called SAFMEDs. Please feel free at any time to pause the video to take a deeper look into our slides and research about SAFMEDs. We will be starting out with introductions of ourselves and a little bit of history about each participant. Thank you, and please enjoy the presentation. Hi, my name is Melissa, and I am a registered behavior technician, and I have been in the field of ABA, Applied Behavior Analysis, for 9 years.
Hi everyone, my name is Terry and I am a registered behavior technician in Indiana. I have been in the field for almost 2 years.
My name is Alexandra Lassard and I have been in the field of ABA for 4 years and I'm a practicing registered behavior technician.
Hi, my name's Anessa Gricky. I'm a registered behavior technician and have been for about a year now. Before that, I was a behavior services assistant and I've been in the field of ABA for about 2 years.
Hi everyone, I'm Naomi Breiler. I am a BC ABA right now and I have been doing ABA for 6 years.
Now that we have introduced our participants, Anessa, Terry, Allie, Naomi, and myself, Melissa, we are now going to look at the objectives for our replication SAFMEDs. The first objective is literature review, then purpose, introduction, behavior definition, methods, results, conclusion, limitation. Now we are going to look at the literature review and see what research supports our SAFMEDs. SAFMED stands for Say All Fast Minute Everyday Shuffled. It improves fluency while learning. It was developed by Hodgson Lindsay in the 1970s and it became more prevalent in the 1980s. It is based on precision teaching and fluency. Precision teaching means decision making based on what the learner does. And this is according to researchers Quigley, Peterson, Frieder, and Peck in 2018. Fluency means correct and fast at what someone is doing according to the researchers Green and Tierman Holloway in 2018. The SAFMED's age range is from childhood to adulthood. The types of behaviors that SAFMEDs can be used for is math, tacting, imitation, listener responding, reading, and definitions. The type of math that can be used is maybe multiplication, seeing how fast a learner can say their addition or subtraction facts. According to the article called An Examination of Stimulus Control and Fluency-Based Strategies, SAFMEDs and Generalization by James N. Meindl, Jonathan W. Ivey, Neil Mueller, Nancy A. Reif, and Robert L. Williamson. They found results in their research showed an increase when researchers implemented their study. Their study was based on SAFMED cards of 45 terms and had 2 minutes to read the definition. They laid them in a pile of incorrect and correct. Again, the results showed an increase, just like our results found in our project. According to the article, Does Speed Matter? A comparison of the effectiveness of fluency in discrete trial training for teaching noun labels to children with autism by Erica Holding, Melissa A. Bray, and Thomas J. Keel. Their article concluded an increase with SAFMEDs with fluency as well. So by the literature review that was discovered, SAFMEDs is a procedure that is very known, and the fluency and accuracy is very known and helps with many procedures and behaviors such as math facts and listener responding and imitation for children and adulthood to help understand and remember, not only remember, but fluency to our natural environment as well.
As future practitioners in the field of applied behavior analysis, we are familiar with precision teaching programs and their usefulness in teaching our learners information that will ultimately build a strong foundation for future growth. PT programs allow our clients on the ASD spectrum to learn material such as sight words quickly and efficiently. The purpose of this research study is to identify how and to what extent SAFMEDs could be used to provide the group with a greater understanding of the ABA field based on terminology used within the Cooper book utilized for this class. While the SAFMED method is considered appropriate for students to learn material quickly, a technique used in the field of ABA should provide the same results as precision teaching. A student's PT program generally involves the use of a graphing method known as a standard acceleration chart, which allows practitioners to evaluate progress and visualize future goals. Additionally, the research article that is being replicated in this study questioned if favorable outcomes would come from using different SAFMED sets. Therefore, the intention of current research was to see if the use of SAFMEDs could be used to increase fluency and speed in the context of learning ABA terms contained in the Cooper textbook, much like the ABA field practitioners used in precision teaching for various skill sets.
The behavior change replication study utilized a study method called SAFMEDs, which is an acronym for Say All Fast Minute Each Day Shuffled. SAFMEDs was developed in the 1970s by Ogden Lindsley. It was created as a tool to promote behavioral fluency and is associated with precision teaching. SAFMEDs are similar to flashcards in that they are a study tool for vocabulary by containing a term on the front and the definition on the back of the card. However, there are a couple main differences. The key strategy of SAFMEDs is pace, as the terms must be said in 1 minute. Additionally, the cards must be shuffled prior to each study session. SAFMEDs are to be used daily and can even be used several times per day. When using SAFMEDs, an emphasis is placed on both speed and accuracy, with the intent to achieve fluency quickly. SAFMEDs is an evidence-based practice for the target behavior of fluency. While SAFMEDs may have its limitations, we found that it was an effective means in increasing fluency for the participants in this study.
The behavior definition for our project is fluency is defined as rate of accurate responding. An episode ends after 1 minute. Examples include, but are not limited to, answering a term correctly, responding with the correct answer, and responding quickly to the answer. Non-examples include, but are not limited to, not identifying the term, answering with the wrong answer, and responding with, I don't know.
The participants in the replication study consisted of 5 Caucasian females ranging from 27 to 35 years old. All of the participants were working in the field of ABA for the duration of this study. 4 of them were registered behavior technicians, and 1 was a board-certified assistant behavior analyst. The setting for the replication study was conducted in the home setting for each participant. Some participants preferred to sit in their bedroom, at a desk, or on their bed, while others preferred their dining room table or a couch. Each participant selected a location in their home that they felt had the least amount of distractions. The materials present during each session consisted of 60 3x5 SAFMED flashcards. Each card had a term on one side and the definition on the other side. For example, the term side would say positive reinforcement. The definition side would say occurs when a behavior is followed immediately by the presentation of a stimulus that increases the future frequency of the behavior in similar conditions. There was also a timer present that was set to 1 minute for each session. A writing utensil and data collection sheet were next to the participant for each session, and this was to record the number of cards in the correct and not yet piles for each session. The other materials that were used in the replication study were the original article for replication, known as a case study using SAFMEDs to promote fluency with Skinner's verbal behavior terms by Stockwell and Eshelman. The second edition of the Applied Behavior Analysis book by Cooper, Huron, and Heward, referred to as the Cooper book, was another material that was used. There was a treatment integrity checklist and a two-tiered non-concurrent multiple baseline graph.
In regards to data collection, the data collection sheet used by participants captured the following information: the participant's name, session number, number of correct responses, number of not yet responses, total responses, percentage correct, and observer name. The onset of data collection began once the timer started and ended at the 1 minute mark. However, no data was physically written down until after the timer went off. Correct responses were measured by saying a correct term that matched the definition on the back of the card. In the instance that the participant admitted a correct response, the card for that response was then placed in the correct pile. On the other hand, if the participant admitted an incorrect response or skipped the term, then the card was placed into the not yet pile. After the 1 minute trial, participants counted the number of correct and not correct SAFMEDs and recorded it on the data sheet, alongside all other applicable information for the session. Regarding design, while the original study utilized precision teaching and graphed data using a standard acceleration chart, the replication study differed by employing a two-tiered, non-concurrent multiple baseline design across participants. This non-concurrent multiple baseline design across participants consisted of both baseline and intervention phases. The two-tiered non-concurrent multiple baseline approach was selected due to time constraints. Additionally, the first tier contained 3 participants, whereas the second tier contained 2 participants. Concerning baseline and treatment phases, prior to collecting baseline data, the participants in the group defined mastery of the target behavior, which was fluency, as being 20 SAFMED cards in 1 minute across 3 trials. Naomi and Alexandra were the first 2 participants to collect data, as they were the first participants from each tier. Both participants followed the steps outlined in our procedures section, recorded the data, and then graphed their data in Excel. Once these participants reached a stable level of responding or a decrease in the level of responding, intervention was implemented. Once Naomi and Alexandra reached 20 or more correct responses across 3 sessions, mastery criteria had been met, and the next participants in line were notified that they could start collecting data. The second group of participants were Melissa and Terry, respectively. Melissa and Terry replicated the steps just outlined for the first 2 participants. Once Melissa reached mastery, she notified Anessa to start collecting data. Anessa then followed the same steps the other 4 participants followed that were just outlined and are indicated in the procedures section of our paper.
According to Cooper, Heron, and Heward 2007, Inter-Observer Agreement, or IOA, is the degree to which 2 or more independent observers report the same observing values after measuring the same events. Put more simply, it is a comparison of whether or not people observe the same behaviors. For this replication study, total count IOA was utilized. The formula for total count IOA is the smaller of the number of agreements divided by the highest number of agreements multiplied by 100. Authors Kennedy and Poling et al. Suggest that inter-observer agreement or IOA data should be assessed for a minimum of 20% of a study's sessions. However, 25% to 33% of sessions is more preferable, according to our Cooper book. Therefore, IOA data was recorded every 4th session of baseline, starting with the first 4, as long as it was required to meet the minimum baseline. This practice was carried over to the treatment portion of this study as well. For example, IOA data was collected for the 1st, 5th, 9th, 13th, and so on sessions. The above procedure was replicated between all participants in the group. The order in which IOA data was collected was Anessa to Terry, Terry to Melissa, Melissa to Naomi, Naomi to Allie, and Allie to Anessa.
Regarding treatment integrity, all the participants in the replication study employed self-monitoring in regard to treatment fidelity. In this instance, treatment fidelity focused on the intervention implementation or procedures for SAFMEDs. This was done by completing a 10-item SAFMED's treatment integrity checklist, which was compiled by one of the group participants. A sample checklist that was used during our study is attached to the current slide. This checklist was completed at the end of every session in which IOA was performed during both baseline and intervention phases. Additionally, IOA was completed every 4th session, starting with the 1st session. So the treatment integrity checklist would have been completed at the 1st, 5th, 9th, 13th, and so on sessions, if these session numbers were present during baseline or intervention phases. Since the checklist was being completed during sessions in which IOA occurred, the person taking IOA data also completed the checklist. This provided an extra layer of treatment integrity. While individual number of sessions across baseline and intervention varied, we had a range of 27.27% to 33%, and an average of 29.06% of sessions in which treatment fidelity was examined. Further, fidelity data for all sessions across all participants amounted to 100%. The range and average for all participants for both correct responses and not yet responses are attached to the current slide. As you can see, the averages for the participants are as follows: Naomi 5, Melissa 6, Anessa 14, Alexandra 17, and Terry 4. whereas the range for baseline was Naomi 4 to 5, Melissa 2 to 8, Anessa 8 to 21, Alexandra 14 to 23, and Terry 3 to 5. Whereas during intervention, the averages are as follows: Naomi 13, Melissa 14, Anessa 24, Alexandra 21, and Terry 14. And the range for Naomi was 4 to 21, Melissa was 6 to 22, Anessa 23 to 25, Alexandra 17 to 27, and Terry 6 to 20. Table 2 shows the average and ranges of SAFMED not yet responses across participants and phases. The baseline average for not yet responses for Naomi was 3, Melissa 6, Anessa 3, Alexandra 1, and Terry 3. Whereas the range for Naomi was 3 to 4, Melissa was 3 to 9, Anessa 0 to 6, Alexandra 0 to 3, and Terry 2 to 5. Regarding intervention, the average for Naomi was 3, Melissa 5, Anessa 3, Alexandra 1, and Terry 2. Additionally, the range for Naomi was 1 to 5, Melissa 1 to 9, Anessa 0 to 2, Alexandra 0 to 3, and Terry 1 to 4. As you can see, the baseline averages for the correct responses had a wide range of numbers from 4 to 17. The same goes for averages of not yet responses across baseline, where ranges were 1 to 6. Additionally, the ranges were as low as 2 and as high as 23 for baseline for correct responses, and as low as 0 and as high as 9 for not yet responses during baseline. As far as intervention, the averages for correct responses range from 13 to 21 and 1 to 5. For not yet responses, whereas the range for correct responses were as low as 4 and as high as 27, and 0 to 9 for not yet responses. Attached to the current slide, you will find a graphic representation of our data. The graphic representation of data shows that Naomi, Melissa, and Terry demonstrated a significant increase in fluency from the beginning of baseline to the end of intervention, whereas Anessa and Alexandra demonstrated a moderate increase in fluency from the beginning of baseline to the end of intervention.
Throughout the course of our replication study, we came to the following conclusions. Although some participants struggled more than others to make progress towards obtaining mastery of the target behavior, the results of our replication study matched those of the original study, which indicated that SAFMED's results in significant gains in fluency. Furthermore, through our treatment integrity checklist, it was shown that procedural fidelity was obtained across all participants during every session. Total count inter-observer agreement was utilized, and 100% IOA was achieved across all participants and phases. The implementation of SAFMEDs had a functional relationship on increasing fluency across all participants. The first limitation of this replication study is where the terminology was derived from. The original study utilized B.F. Skinner's Verbal Behavior Book. However, the replication study used the second edition of the Applied Behavior Analysis book by John Cooper, Timothy Huron, and William Heward, referred to as the Cooper Book. By using another source for the terminology, the generalizability of our study was impacted. The terms used in the replication study may have been more widely known content since the Cooper book contains a variety of terms frequently used in the field of ABA. This may have influenced the data since all of our participants have experience working in ABA with a minimum of 2.5 years all the way up to 9 years of experience. The participants' experience in the field of ABA is a second limitation of the replication study. With experience comes knowledge to frequently used ABA terms, which makes up a portion of the content in this study. Additionally, all participants were enrolled in the Master's in Applied Behavior Analysis program at Ball State University at the time of the study. The participants had accrued a range of 12 to 24 credits, and several classes in this program require the use of the Cooper book. Therefore, the knowledge the participants had obtained from their professional and educational experiences may have impacted the data from the study. Another limitation is the range and length of definitions for the terms. So since the SAFMED system requires the deck of cards to be shuffled prior to the beginning of each session, the length of definitions presented is a variable impacting the fluency. One session may have consisted of all terms with short definitions, then the following session may have had terms with longer definitions, and then another session may have had a mix of both long and short definitions. And while the randomized arrangement of the cards is necessary, the definition length limited the progress of fluency. So for future replications, selecting terms with similar definition lengths would prevent this from being a limitation. During the replication study, 2 participants were hospitalized due to illness. This unexpected variable made it difficult for those 2 participants to perform at their full potential. Anessa was hospitalized for 3 days, preventing her from beginning her portion of the replication study on time, and due to this, she ended up trading places with Terry. Melissa was the second participant that was hospitalized during the study, and although she was able to begin her session on schedule, she was unable to complete the predetermined number of sessions in one day. She also reported difficulty concentrating due to her illness. These medical emergencies may have compromised those specific participants' results.
In addition to the limitations noted by Alexandra, there were 2 more limitations present in our replication study. The first of the 2 limitations is that the original study involved only 1 participant and used precision teaching, where the participant graphed her results on a standard acceleration chart. However, our replication study involved 5 participants and used a 2-tiered, non-concurrent, multiple baseline across participants' design. As is the case with some non-concurrent multiple baseline designs, the participants in the current study did not participate in the study at the same time. Further, the order in which the participants are aligned in the graph represent the order in which the participants collected data. In terms of fidelity of the research design, the one item that was not followed in the course of a standard non-concurrent multiple baseline design is the predetermined number of baseline sessions. Overall, this small change in organization of participants did not change the overall validity or reliability of the study. This is due to the fact that the data collection method used to measure the number of correct responses was extremely valid in nature and reliable across participants as observed by IOA and fidelity data. The current slide and the next 2 slides contain the references used throughout the paper and the PowerPoint presentation, as well as the photo references for the PowerPoint and the contribution log of all participants for the group.